Hello, Luxees. Welcome back to the Luxury Live Show. As usual, I have my gorgeous co-host here with me, fashionably Amy. And today we have a special guest. Firstly, thank you to everyone for changing up the time. Usually we have the standard time, but thank you. It is very early for Amy right there. It's like 7
It's
a.m.
7 a.m. and I just quickly got ready, so I hope everyone doesn't mind my face, my unready face, and also because of my camera situation. Yeah, my phone webcam is decided not to work, but I think it'll come
It'll pop
eventually
on.
because I've had this issue a few times and eventually it will come on. So even my phone hasn't woken up yet. So sorry about that.
Okay, so I am going to bring in our guest today who is, wow, she's got like huge following, amazing videos on YouTube, Handbagholic. So Steph, let me just bring her in. Hi. Thank you for joining us. We know you are really, really busy. So thank you for spending, we have an hour with you. So yeah, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. I've been watching some of your live streams, so it's an honor to be a guest.
Yes,
amazing. So Steph, welcome to the Luxury Live Show. Since you're new to our, you're new to the show, and we usually do that. We do kind of like more of an interview style. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, just anything that you want to share, your hobbies, what do you do, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, of course. So for anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Steph, and I have a YouTube channel called Handbagholic, which kind of gives away what it's about and one of my main passions that I'll come on to. In terms of hobbies, so I live in the UK as well, so it's 3 p.m. here. And some hobbies that I really like are actually yoga and swimming. So fun fact, I actually used to work at Speedo, the swimwear company. And
wow.
yeah, when I first worked there, because my background is in digital marketing, we used to have a happy hour where we could go swimming every week for an hour. And when I started there, I couldn't swim at all. So I then took some lessons, and then by the time I left, now I absolutely love swimming and yoga. In terms of passions, luxury bags are definitely one of those, and luxury fashion in general. And that kind of all started from my background so I did like fashion design at college, and yeah, it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. And now I have an entire YouTube channel and I do it full time just based on luxury bags. Yeah.
Did you do full time like recently? Was it a pandemic full time, or we know a lot of people during the pandemic switched careers, and one of it is a lot of people actually became full time on YouTube, or they found something on TikTok.
Yeah, so I was working full time in digital marketing when the pandemic hit. But I already had the YouTube channel at that point, and then I was furloughed from my work for about 5 or 6 months, and then they started to get us to go back into the office like 2 days a week, 3 days a week. And when it got to the point a few months in where they wanted us back full time, I just knew it was kind of now or never. So I decided to just not go back full time and do this full time, and I have no regrets.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a scary leap.
Well, that's amazing. So, okay, I don't think I've met more than 2 people who are full-time on YouTube. Cassie is one of them, you're one of them. How many hours would you say that you actually dedicate towards like creating this content, like everything added together per week? I'm just curious. I always wondered. Never asked Cassie that. I should have asked her that.
Yeah, we should have asked her when she was here, right?
Yeah.
She became full time, and it was like an announcement and all that. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think she went full time. Yeah, definitely before me, because I remember seeing all her posts about it. Yeah, I love her channel. How many hours does it take? Okay, so the part that I like the most is the ideas, and I'm trying to get better at storytelling and that side of things. So I do spend a few hours on that. I'd probably say filming is like the shortest part of it. And filming can take maybe for one video between half an hour and an hour, depending how long it is and how many times I mess up in the edit. And then editing it, that probably takes the longest, like just to go through and take out all the bits where I went wrong and just adding overlays to them. So I would say editing for like a long video could be 3 to 4 hours for a video like that. Yeah, so that's probably the longest part of it.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. That is so cool.
I cannot imagine jumping like that. That's like a big leap, right? Because well, it's connected with your digital marketing, but at the same time, it's still really different, right? Because you're doing this all for yourself. But great job, because your content is, I see it all the time. Like you have so many ideas, and I should do this video as well. This is a good video.
Yeah, I need to do like more tag videos. I will say though, in the first instance, like the first year after I did leave full time, I did start to freelance and use my digital marketing skills to kind of keep my income at a level that I was used to. But so yeah, it took a year to kind of transition fully away, and now I just do this like full time as of, I think I've been 13 months now. I've been doing it like full time.
Wow,
Incredible.
that's amazing. How do you think that you're going to be doing this full time for quite a while, or are you kind of looking to getting back into your career more in the traditional way, or are you actually have no plans? Are you going to stay doing YouTube for a while and keep at it for a while?
Yeah, so I have no plans to go back.
Oh,
Well, no, it's really nice that I've been in digital marketing, and I got to the point I was like, I can keep helping people build their businesses, or I can start to try and build my own. And I think what I would like to do is, I've talked about this on my YouTube channel before, but I haven't really got around to doing it yet, just because I don't know how to juggle the time. But I definitely want to start a separate YouTube channel, which will be more about my digital marketing background, how I've built Handbagholic, and yeah, that side of things. So I don't plan to go back, but maybe like expand out a little bit more into like the YouTube world, but on different topics.
oh, wow,
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Okay, so let me
forward to
post
that.
this. Yeah, let me post this. So anyway, the Luxees, if you have a question for Steph, she is here for an hour. So post your questions in the chat and I'll pull it up. So we'll just bring out the next question and then I'll just wait. Let me see where it is. There it is. Okay. So when did you get started doing luxury? Like it was a hobby, a passion, right? But when did you really get into handbags, or do you start off with shoes? Did you start off with jewelry?
It actually all started with a dress. So I am a nerd deep down, and I love computers and the internet. So on my plans at school were to actually go into IT, do something with computers, whatever that looked like. And I actually did a textile class at school, and I decided to make my own prom dress.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I started to learn about like pattern cutting and fabrics and stitching. So then in the last few months where I needed to decide what I was going to go on to, I completely did a U-turn and decided to go into fashion design. So I did that for 2 years at college, made my own collection. And whilst we were at college, we went on some amazing trips to London, Paris, and we would go, and I just started to like immerse myself in that world with learning all about designers, different fabrics and that side. And I remember distinctly being in London. It was cold outside, it was raining, but it was still the best day ever. And I think we were at Selfridges, and just the window, it had loads of Louis Vuitton bags in. And I was just like, wow, one day I really hope I can afford one of those. Like they were just so beautiful. And I think that for me was where it kind of started. I was like, I need one of those in my life. And then I think I might have taken it a step too far now, but
it always starts somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where it all started for me. And then as I got my like first full-time job, I'd save up for my first bag, and yeah, never stopped.
Oh, that is so cool. So, Steph, I do not know your collection very well. So what was your first bag?
My first bag, I've got it here ready for you.
Yes,
Oh.
amazing.
Well, sorry, my very, very first one, I don't have anymore. I did sell that. That was a Mulberry Bayswater bag. But this was like my second kind of first ever bag. And it was this Saint Laurent bag. And
Let me shift the layout a little
Amazing.
bit so that we can see
Oh,
you and your
super
beautiful
cute.
background. Because
so yeah, this is my Saint Laurent. It's kind of like a Kate wallet on chain. I think it's actually got a different name, but I'm not too sure what the name is. And it's in like a black crushed velvet. And I used to wear this all the time, you know, going out for meals, and I just absolutely loved it. And it has a chain as well. So
I
this
love that it's velvet, actually.
Yeah,
So different from everyone's.
Yeah, I find fabric bags, even though they don't wear as well, but especially with black, they just look deeper than black leathers sometimes. Like they just look really black, which I think can look really nice.
I agree.
beautiful.
So
Do you
yeah,
actually, I have a good question. Since you're holding up this bag, do you protect it? Like, do you use anything on your bags? Because it rains a lot in the UK, doesn't it?
it does. Way too much. It rains way too much. I do spray them with something to protect them. So I used to use Carbon Pro, but now I've got a new product which I'm very excited about. I'm not going to talk too much about, but I am actually launching a range of care products very soon, and there is a protector in there that I've had this protector for many, many years. So working with that company to like bring this out in the next few months is very exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Yes. Let me tell you what you need to add to your care collection.
Yeah.
You need to add anti-mold. You have that?
Yeah. I don't have that. I have seen it. Yeah, definitely.
Need
Do you
it.
have that problem?
Oh my gosh. Everyone in Asia, at least Singapore and Malaysia, because humidity is a huge problem here. Mold is like is our handbag's nightmare. So yeah, you should totally add anti-mold in your care line, because that would be perfect.
Amazing. It's on
That
my
would be a
list.
game changer. I think Steph's your environment is probably more similar to where I live. I live in Vancouver. We also get a lot of rain. Our winters are a little bit colder, but I think handbag care wise, we are pretty similar. So what would you say is the most important handbag care for you then?
For me, for some of my leather bags, I think just giving them a cleanse. Obviously, I wear makeup and touch my face a lot,
Yeah.
and then I'm touching my bag and I just get marks all over them. And so if they've been out with me all day, especially in London and on the underground with all the kind of dirt and grime of London, just giving them a nice clean afterwards. And some of the softer leathers, I just make sure that I nourish them afterwards with a conditioner, and that helps to stop like the creasing, and it just makes them look a little bit more like they've got a little bit more life.
Right.
So yeah, that's my routine. I don't clean all of them like religiously, as in like get them all out and do them all at once. It's just if I've used one, I might just give it a bit of a clean, which is dead quick after I've used it.
Fantastic. We're looking forward to that launch.
I'll let you know.
Okay, so now that we've seen your, I guess one of your first bags, can you show us your newest one maybe, or if you have like any surprise unboxing for us?
I don't have a surprise unboxing because I've been strangely good the past few weeks. I think what it is for me, I don't know if you guys feel the same. It feels like there's so many designs of bags and there's so many great ones that sometimes it's overwhelming and then you just can't decide. Do you guys ever feel like that?
Yes. I think, well, for me personally, I've definitely been more into Chanel the last few years. And then when I eventually also started getting into Hermes, then my collection started getting really, really tight because obviously I don't have all the money in the world to spend on every other brand. So I've been really, really careful at choosing what to add. And not to overwhelm my collection. In fact, I like it when it's smaller. So I totally understand, like from the point of view of, I love looking at new collections coming out and all the fun stuff, and we love talking about it all the time. But when it comes to shove, even though I am very tempted, like we get very tempted all the time, I feel like I've been really good at not acting on it. But I love talking about it because it is, it is my passion. So, but not to add it is, I actually feel really proud about it. So I don't think it's a good or bad thing, but it's more about just focusing on what I really wanted in the beginning, like from my wish list, and just respecting that.
Yeah. No, I think that's so good. I give into temptation too easily. And I'm definitely coming around to more of your way of thinking and being way more focused and thought out and just taking my time when I decide to buy something.
Yeah, there's just so many choices. And every few weeks, not even a few months, it used to be a few months, you get a new release, a new launch. But it seems like there are so many more brands coming out almost every other day or every other week. And then the old brands are just releasing bags or all kinds of things. It is a little overwhelming up to a point where you just like, I don't really know what to choose anymore. Then you just don't choose.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. But I say this, and you asked what my latest bag is.
Let me show again.
And I got this a few weeks ago, and it wasn't on my wish list. So this is an example of my being tempted, but it was pre-loved and it was at such a good price. You know, and you just can't stop thinking about something. So it is.
Oh,
wow. Wait a minute. Don't you already have a capucine? Wait,
Yeah.
I kind of remember you have. Oh, you have. Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I've got two mini ones.
This is a gorgeous color, by the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is the Stardust collection, and I'd never seen this in real life, but I did say I wanted a mini with like a pearl inlay.
Oh,
And then
wow.
this is the BB size, and it was less than half price for what it retailed at, and I was like, this can't be real. Like, so I decided to go for it, and I've got like no regrets on this one. I do think it's a really special piece, and it's like a pinky yellow, but it kind of comes out like an apricot almost.
Did you just say it's less than half price?
Yeah.
Well, is LV on discount?
No.
No, it's pre-loved. So it was from a website called Handbagholic, and they've got stores in the UK. And they send emails. So it was their Friday drop email, and I saw this. And then I was like, that price can't be right for that bag, because this retailed at over £5,000 here in the UK. And it was listed at 2,300, I think it was. And I was like, that seems wrong. And so yeah,
that is still a significant. I mean, even though it's resale, it's still a significant change in price, because with all the price increases now, even the resale market has been going out in tandem, right? It's expensive in the resale market, so it's 50% off. That's like a lot.
I know. Yeah, I definitely think the resale market's very interesting right now. I think it's almost got to a point where some of it, especially with Hermes and some Chanel, because we couldn't go into stores throughout lockdown, I feel like some of these stores, I guess, capitalized on that, and things have become slightly overpriced in the pre-loved area. Like, you know, seeing bags that you can buy in store and they're more expensive in certain pre-loved stores that I've seen. And now I think it's slowly calming down a little bit, and hopefully there'll be more bargains like this around, which, this has definitely excited me a bit more to look at pre-loved again, because I used to love pre-loved a lot back in the day when I was first starting out, because I didn't have a whole lot of money, so I wanted my money to go, you know, as far as it possibly could do. And then I did start buying way more new over the last few years, just because I couldn't get certain items pre-loved, and especially with Chanel and stuff like, it's kind of scary buying pre-loved sometimes. So I've just generally gravitated towards new, but yeah, this has made me excited to start looking at pre-loved again.
It's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna pull a question for you from Sarah.
Okay.
So Sarah's asking, where do you live in the UK, Steph? In which boutiques do you shop at? She's based in Manchester, and we feel really lucky if you have a lot of choice in Manchester.
Hi, Sarah. So I am based in Nottingham in the UK, and I was actually in Manchester yesterday. Yeah. And I definitely think Manchester has a lot better shopping than Nottingham does. We don't have any luxury stores here. But yeah, I love Manchester, and it only takes me about an hour and a half on the train to get to London, which obviously all the stores are there, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, I love going to Manchester and London for the stores.
Nice. Thanks, Steph. Okay, let me pull one more.
Yeah.
Here from Chris. Chris is asking, hi, Steph, do you set any monthly or yearly budget for your purchases of any luxury items?
Hi, Chris. I try to. I try to have a budget. What I do with my finances, and I highly recommend this to anyone who's interested, is a book called Profit First, and I read it because of my business. And you basically, it's very, very simple, but the concept of it is genius. And I put a percentage of my income, like I automate it, so 10% here, like taxes and all of that kind of stuff. And then I do have a luxury pot as well. So I find with more of the modern banks like Monzo, Starling, they have the pots that you can set up now, and I find those really useful. So I guess my budget is kind of whatever goes into that like luxury pot, but there are definitely occasions where I will go outside of that budget, if you will, and I'll just forgo saving in a different area if I need to.
I'm trying to have a budget, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Well, it's harder when it's around your birthday too.
That's true. Let's not talk about
You've
it.
had a long birthday month, my dear.
You budget, Amy?
Yeah, actually, even though I say that, I'm not very good at it because, like I have more of a wish list, and I try to respect that, but my budget is all over the place. And as I've explained many times, I've been having to dip into my savings lately because of Hermes. It's gotten so crazy because of the whole journey, whole game thing, which is why I try to balance that out with, like what is overflowing in my collection and try to adjust that. So that's been helping, but no, the budget is like up and down. It's crazy. It cannot be like that. It's not sustainable.
It's a hard one to get right.
Are you into Hermes? Let me see. Since we have a question, are you into it? And if you were, would you be Team Birkin or Kelly?
Okay, my thoughts on Hermes. This is an interesting one. I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well. I like Hermes, and I've recently been thinking about it a lot. So I've made a wish in Harrods, but I've only purchased one pair of footwear, and I'm kind of putting off buying anything else like online because I'm waiting to go into store to start building my purchase history. But living a bit further away, sometimes it's harder to do that. So I'm kind of waiting to fully commit and also make sure I've got some budget because, like you say, Amy, like Hermes is just next level money, isn't it? And I just want to make sure that I've kind of saved for that before I start that journey as much as I possibly can, because they are just so expensive. And would I be Team Birkin or Kelly? This is interesting. If you'd have asked me this like a week ago, and if for anyone who does watch my YouTube channel, I've always said I want a Birkin. I want a Birkin 30 because I like the way that they look. But in the last week, I was on a preloved site. I'm actually heading to their boutique in London. It's Luxury Promise, and they have a Kelly in stock, and it's a vintage box calf 28.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm hoping to see that, and kind of thinking about it more rationally. I like top handle bags. I like bags with longer straps on. So I know the Kelly is more practical, but I've always said the Birkin just because I prefer the way that it looks. So hopefully both of them. So I don't know which team I'm on at the minute.
well,
which one would you recommend?
You just need to get both and then you can decide.
I like your
think
advice.
exactly. Logically, you are gonna end up getting both, I think. Because I think whether you get a Birkin first or Kelly first or pre-love first or from the store first, it doesn't matter. You're gonna always have to start with one. And I always feel like with Hermes, it is a little bit of fate, like what is meant to be yours. So whatever your essay ends up offering you or whatever you end up getting your hands on, pre-love maybe, you're gonna enjoy that bag for a little while, and then you'll start having ideas, and your wish list is gonna start to grow more and more and more and more and more, and then it'll just spiral from there. You'll eventually find out which team you're more on. I think for me, it still changes. Like sometimes for me, because and it's probably similar to you, we have 4 different seasons and they're very distinct from each other. Like when we get snow, we get snow. When it's summer, it's really summer. So depending on that, I also bring a different bag. So with the Birkin, it's really hard to wear when it's like really snowing and your hands are cold. It's hard to always be holding it. Especially because mine is a size 25. You can't just use it on the crook of your arm with your big coats and everything. So in that case, I like the Kelly more. So it almost changes with the season for me, but I'm really excited for you. And I think it's very smart that you are waiting to be mentally ready and also financially ready, because that's sort of how I did it. And I thought, even though I was more prepared, it was still very stressful in the end. So it's better that you are even like the most prepared you are, the better you'll be at tackling this adventure.
I mean, of course, I think we're referring to it from getting it in the store.
Correct.
Because I'm not sure how the UK system works in Hermes. Some say it's reasonable, but where I am in Singapore and where Amy is in Canada, it's really competitive. So spending on the bag is one thing that is like a lot. You still have to spend and pre-spend, and it really just snowballs very quickly. So yeah, good that you're being prepared, because once it starts and the bug bites you, oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like I mentally need to be prepared, because I am into distraction bags, as some people call them. And lots of other brands, and I feel like I mentally need to kind of close that door for a little bit and go into the Hermes side of things, because I've definitely collected a lot more Chanel over the last few years, and that's been expensive. And my heart goes out to anyone who does genuinely have one of these bags as one of their like wish list pieces. And just watching these price increases it's great on one hand, and we expect it, but on the other hand, I know for people just starting out, it's just not fun.
It's crazy. There's only one. It's insane. The prices today, and Hermes is even more than that. Plus the spend on if you're getting it from the boutique. So good luck.
Thank you.
Come again on the show when you have your Birkin or your Kelly.
I got one.
Okay, I'm gonna pull. We've got a couple more questions coming in. So Shiza, hello. I've never bought or sold pre-loved. Any advice? Yeah.
Hi, Shiza. Okay, buying and selling pre-loved. It's a bit of a minefield in general. When I buy pre-loved, I make sure that I'm buying from a reputable seller, and I prefer it when they have physical stores, so you know that their presence isn't just going to disappear online. I've seen that happen in a few instances, and it's so sad when people just can't get hold of anyone anymore. And I always pay with credit card. So you're protected via your credit card as well. So I would never not pay. And you've got to be careful paying for anything online through PayPal and using a credit card, because PayPal, your credit card might not protect you because you used a third-party processor. So that's something to be aware of.
Oh, that's good advice.
Yeah, I think PayPal protects, but if you do want the credit card to protect you, sometimes they won't do it because you've used another provider. But I think that depends on the bank. So this is not financial advice. It's just what I kind of try and stick to. And yeah, when I got the Capucine bag, for example, they do a 28-day full refund return. So I was like, okay, if there's any issues, they will take it back. And they also do, this is Handbag Clinic, they do a buyback scheme as well. So if I want to sell it back to them in the next year, I believe it is, they'll give me at least 70% of what I paid for it. Not that I plan to do that, but my advice there would just be make sure you go into like reputable sellers and that they are following the law. But like here in the UK, you have to offer returns if you've ordered online for 14 days or 28 days, something like that. So that's important. And then selling pre-loved. I have in the past sold a lot on eBay. I was actually scammed. So someone bought 2 bags from me and they did a charge back through their credit card and said that this wasn't me. I didn't place the order. And luckily, eBay seller protection, to kind of finish this story very quickly, they covered me. So I did everything my end. I got tracking, insurance. I actually film as well. Like if I'm posting something out, filming me boxing it up and sealing it with tamper-proof tape. It might be excessive, but I think sometimes when you're dealing with expensive items. So yeah, I did that. And then they luckily kind of covered the whole cost of it, which is sad for eBay. But it was nice to have that seller protection. But I think these days, a lot of people, if you don't have the time to do that, because it's very time consuming, like going back and forth with people that might want to buy and like details they want to know, like consigning it with a reputable store, maybe that you buy from, and just letting them handle it. You don't get as much money because they take a percentage of it, but then it gives you your time back and peace of mind that they're doing what they're really good at and you can just focus on whatever it is you want to do, and it's just more stress-free.
That's really smart. And of course, after you've dealt with eBay yourself for a little while, I'm sure you've kind of had experience with that. Would you say that I'm just curious because I film my like the boxing part, and like maybe not from beginning to end, but I usually at least take pictures before I send out anything that I have sold. Would you say that they actually use that as proof? Is that like legitimate proof for them to help you out with your case?
I mean, I don't know. And I guess it depends on like every platform that you're with. For me, I think it was quite easy with my eBay situation because I messaged the person to say, have you received them? And they did message back at the time and said, yeah, all received, love them. So I think that really helped my case because eBay could see those messages. And then they did the charge back a few months later. And at that point, they'd taken their account off eBay, but luckily eBay could see that. So yeah, I guess I don't think there's any like super foolproof way to do it. I'm actually consigning one of my bags with Fellows Auction soon. So it's an auction house here in the UK. I don't know if you guys have like auction places near you, but it's not an area that I've really looked at before, but I quite like the concept. And you can find some real gems in auction houses that I don't think they're marketed as well as, some of these really big resellers. They just know how to use social media so well. And here in the UK anyway, some of these auction houses are a bit old school. So you can still find some really great bargains. And it's kind of like a different network of people and buyers and sellers. So I'm finding that quite, yeah.
Interesting. And auctions are not really popular here in Singapore. Maybe for old estate stuff, but then you could find some other items as well, though. So yeah, I've never ever considered going for an auction.
Yeah, I've not either. This will be my first time, so I'll keep you updated and let you know how it goes.
This is something that I found really exciting about Europe. That is very different from here. Is that you? Even though you mentioned earlier that the area you live in, you don't have the luxury stores and it's a little further away, which I guess for me, I am lucky. I'm actually in the city of Vancouver, so I'm literally like a drive away from all the stores. But even though it's the case, we have very, very limited stores. We don't even have the flagship stores. All of them are most of them are in a department store, and we have to shop within a department store to get access to all these other brands. And we don't have a lot of consignment stores, unlike Singapore. So would you say that having a diverse, like just at least pre-loved market and having access to a bigger city like London and has been a good thing for you for like the luxury discovery journey? Like, would you do it differently if you had to start it over? How would you do it differently if you had to start it over?
That's a really great question that I've never actually thought about. On my channel as well, I do quite a lot of shopping vlogs in London when I go, because a lot of people like to see what is new. And that has definitely meant that I get to see, you know, all the latest from the brands. So would I do it differently if I wasn't, you know, able to get to London? I mean, yeah, I guess with the whole vlogs and pulling those together, I just wouldn't be able to do that, or they'd be a lot more infrequent. So the fact that I'm able to get there enables me to make that content for the YouTube channel and for social media channels. I still think I would do luxury, as in like I'd still want my YouTube channel, and yeah, I guess I just have to go more out of my way to try and get to a big city. But it's definitely an advantage, and yeah, it's definitely made building this easier for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, because Nottingham to London, you were saying, is about an hour by train?
Yeah, about an hour and a half. Yeah,
it's pretty near. So it's like a day trip out, right? You have a whole day out. You can film all of that.
Exactly.
I'm really lucky. I mean, Singapore, they come to the house. Okay, they literally pick up the bags on the same day if you want to sell them, and it's maybe it's come to a point where there's too many, and there's just so much choices. It's kind of bad.
And you have a lot of consignment stores in Singapore too. Like
so many.
Every Instagram account I follow is from Singapore.
Oh, I'm gonna have to come back. I came to Singapore many years ago, and I remember the humidity, and just being from the UK was not used to it at all. And I remember running into one of the shopping malls for the aircon. We were like, oh my gosh, it was so hot. But yeah, shopping in Singapore is out of this world. I'd say like probably one of the best places in the world I've ever seen.
Yeah. So now that the pandemic's, over-ish, that everyone's back, tourists are back, the malls are just packed. I don't know, I'm getting a bit like, oh my god, there's just so many people here. Kind of forgot how crowds are. So I mean, but shopping in Singapore it's if you got a lot of cash to burn, it's fun. It's so much stuff, every brand. Okay, here's another one. I think this is a question. Let me see. Okay.
Yeah, there's some questions.
Yeah. Hi, Steph. What is it you dislike about the classic flap? Everyone has it in a collection, but not you. You don't have. Oh yeah, you just did a collection. You don't have one.
No.
You have other bags. You have like the jumbo. You have the old jumbo, but you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
You have that one.
Yes.
Oh, it's the vintage style. It's so cute.
Yeah. Why don't I have a classic flap? Why don't I like it? The first thing I don't like about it at the moment is the price. The price is just mind-blowing. And someone asked me this the other day on Instagram, actually. And I think for me, so I've got 19 bags, boy bags, and I feel like my style is, I just gravitate more towards slightly edgier looking pieces. And I feel like the classic flap looks so elegant and well put together that I don't know how much I would actually use it for my personal style. And it's been a hard one to resist because I do think they are beautiful. And when you get like the iridescent ones, like they are gorgeous, aren't they? But yeah, and I do prefer the vintage versions with the like bigger clasp on. So for me, this kind of fulfills my need for a classic flap. And I don't think that I will add one to my collection unless I found a really perfect one, and it would probably be pre-loved and not at current retail prices.
So actually, this question is a good follow-up from Annie. Steph, everyone has their own handbag deal breaker. What is yours? Could be multiple.
Could be multiple deal breakers. Yeah.
I think it really depends on what I want the bag for. So that's something that I've learned over the years, to try not to buy things, even though they're beautiful, like really put some thought into how will this actually work in my life? Because I am very guilty of having quite a few bags in my collection that definitely don't get used as much as they should do. I can justify that because of Handbagholic. If I didn't have Handbagholic and this really was just a personal collection, and it wasn't part of, what I do for work, then there would be quite a few pieces, that I would feel a lot more guilty about than I do. So deal breakers at the moment, a top handle and like a crossbody shoulder strap, which is why I'm kind of, do I park the Birkin and go for the Kelly? So I think those are my deal.
So those are like sort of preference. They're not, I mean, they're opposite of deal breakers, right? Because you like a top handle, you like something with a strap. Would logos be, would be, like, say, like a, today, like the whole bag's all monogram, would that be a deal breaker? Like now that's not maybe a preference anymore?
It's definitely not a preference, but it's not a deal breaker. Like I do have quite a lot of monogram in my collection and like leather versions of bags. So yeah, for me, that wouldn't be a deal breaker. I think, like I say, it just depends on what I'm using it for. Will it fit what I need it to fit when I'm using it? And I guess a good deal breaker maybe is the price of the bag. Like, and this is why I'm liking the pre-loved market even more, because if the price, like with the classic flap, if it's just overpriced and I just don't think it's worth it, especially now with the kind of low luxury market, with brands like Demelia, Pelen, when you start to compare them with bags that cost 10 times as much, it's definitely got me thinking about the worth of the item a little bit more. So if I do feel it's overpriced, then I definitely won't go for it. Have you guys got some deal breakers?
I can think of one on the top of, like, right now. Accordion style bags are deal breakers for me.
Okay.
So bags that when I open, they go like open like this. I can't deal with it. Like, it's, if I see that bag, I immediately think of how difficult it's gonna close, things are gonna fall out, or it's just, so that's one, because I've experienced it with other bags, and I just, deal breaker. No accordion style bags. Yeah,
you can be tempted to fill those up and then they won't close.
And they'll flip open and be like this. Like, no. What about you, Amy? Do you have one that you can like?
Yeah, I should really respect my deal breakers, because every time I sort of like allowed myself to, maybe it's going to be okay, I've always regretted it. And it's to have bags that have difficult zippers, because I'm already not a big fan of zippered bags to begin with, but if they're difficult to open and close, that's when I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten it. So just as an example, the first bag that I sold multiple times is the Speedy B, because the zipper is not hard to open and close, but it's just that it's such a small zipper for a big bag, and then you've got this big hole. So every time you're trying to find that one thing that is all the way in the middle of everything, you can't. Another example is, although I love the bag, but it is a painful bag to use, is the hard bag, the Chanel hard bag. It has this like, sort of like heart shape on the top. So like, it's not like terribly difficult to open and close. That's not the point. But it's like when you're in a rush, you're trying to check out, or you're trying to be careful not to scratch it. It's just, and it's an awkward shape. It's just like things like that I always have a little bit of regret, because I love the bag, but yeah, they never stay too, like the longevity of these bags don't stay too long in my collection. You eventually I'll end up like hating it, or I'll end up thinking, oh, I don't even use it enough. So should it still be in my collection? So it's stuff like that. Like the closure is so important to me.
I think this is where I'm going wrong. I don't really have deal breakers in that sense that I've really thought about before.
You should make a video. Think about it. Sit down and think about it, and you'll be like, "Oh, there are a lot of deal breakers. Like there are little." Okay, I'll give you another one, Steph. Bags that when you, okay, I don't have a good example, or I'll just use my bag.
Flop down.
Or, yeah, when you put the bag like this, and you think it's staying upright, but it flips, it hits this way. Deal breaker.
Well, right. The thing with this is that is so annoying, but I have like the mini business affinity from Chanel, and that just topples over.
Deal breaker.
It's one of my most used bags, honestly.
So maybe you don't have a deal breaker then, Steph. Does anything about your bag collection annoys you, or do you just deal with it? That's the thing. Maybe you just deal with it.
Yeah.
You deal with the deal breaker.
Yeah. I think a good example is let me grab. It's probably like the Capucine Mini.
Okay.
So this bag is really fiddly, the Capucine in general, and it's just so small. And I hate that it's got this like line in the middle, so then you can't really get big items in here. So I actually hardly ever use my two mini bags. I think I'll use the BB more. They're also heavy. Like the BB bag's obviously a lot heavier than this. But I think I don't know, I'm just happy to oversee all its flaws because I just like it so much.
So you truly don't have deal breakers.
You don't have a deal, you take it.
I'll just buy whatever. Just take my money.
You know what? You are a true handbag lover then. You just
definitely the name fits.
It's like every bag is like a child, right? Like doesn't matter the flaw.
Yeah.
I love you.
Okay with.
I love them for their flaws.
That's awesome.
My bank doesn't, but I do.
Okay, let me pull another question. Okay, we don't have much time. So I know you've got to go off. Let's pull this couple more. All right. Aunt Rev recently bought a Delvo bag and fell in love with it. What are your thoughts on Delvo?
So it is a brand that I'm not massively familiar with, but I did check out their range recently, and I'm planning a trip to Paris. And I know a lot of the kind of older luxury brands like Delvo are kind of all in the same area. So I'm very excited to actually go and see them in person, because it's not, you don't really see Delvo, you know, when I'm in Harrods or Selfridges. I mean, I'm not actually sure if they are stocked there, but I've never seen any. So when I've got my blinkers on, I just haven't really seen. And I think there's a lot coming out now with other brands coming into the space. They've always been there, but they've just not had the popularity that Chanel and Hermes have had in the media. So it's exciting. I'm really glad brands like this are starting to be talked about, because I feel like, I don't know, it just gives more avenues. It's kind of felt, I don't know if you both feel the same. For me, it's probably what I focused on, but it's just felt so Chanel, so Hermes. And now it's like, let's look at other brands that have great quality and, you know, great service. And we don't just have to stick to these key brands.
Yes. True.
I'll give my perspective. I think because of where I live, and I've always said that in the past, because we get a lot of questions, and you know, our audience is from all over the world, so different people have access to different brands. But for me personally, the only place I can see a Delvo bag is in a department store. And so within the department store, it's actually in a Nordstrom store. They only have a few on display, so it's not a huge collection, and even though I sort of have access to it like that indirectly, it's not a full representation of the brand, I feel. And so I've always sort of had a bit more of a difficulty really grasping all the different other brands other than Chanel and Hermes, and like LV, for example. Those are the big three that we actually at least even if it's within a department store, they'll have their own standalone, like walk inside and you can see the collection more readily. So I think I feel the same way as you. Like, even though we do have some access, it's still very limited. So I can only comment from like my first impression from just seeing it, seeing a few of them, and also like looking at the collection online. So I agree. It's mostly the big three for me in terms of how I've built my collection and the occasional adding of like the trendy stuff. But yeah, I don't have as big access to like Delvo, for example. And so for me, it's harder for me to really be sure about even my first impression, because yeah, we don't have access to like a big store and walking in. And so I'm excited for you to go to Paris, and at least
it
you're
out.
kind of close to Paris. So you can like shop around and have a better look at all these different brands.
Yeah, sometimes it's just seeing them in person, isn't it? And the quality. So to have a perception is all you can go by is what you can see online. But to get that next level of detail, yeah, I can't wait to see them in person.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna take 2 more questions from the audience. So this one's, I think this will be a quick one. Corinne's saying, yeah, Steph, you inspired me to start my own channel. Thank you. Is there another city, country that you would like to move to?
Good question. I have no plans to move and live. So I live with my partner and our Chihuahua at the minute. And I love the UK. I do have plans. So part of the reason that I wanted to go full-time on my own business is so that I could travel a lot more. So I definitely need to do Canada. I've never been to Canada. So Vancouver is on my list. And yeah, I think I would rather, now that I can work more remotely, I would rather travel and maybe spend, I think me and my partner are planning maybe like a month in Canada and like going round and trips like that. And so, yeah, there isn't anywhere. I mean, I would like to live somewhere warmer than the UK. I feel like I need more warmth in my life, but right now, no plans to move.
Well, maybe you would, who knows, you could do like a Cassie where she moves all the way to
New York,
in
but it's not warmer there though.
Oh, it's not warmer there, colder there. Okay, maybe not.
I don't know if it's colder. It's probably. I don't know how is the coldest in the UK, like temperature wise.
I don't know, maybe like -5 to 10.
Oh, it's
So
much
it's similar
colder
to
in
New
New
York.
York because they have like winter freeze during.
Yeah, but their winters are shorter. Like, because they're more south than, because I used to live in Montreal, and it's like south, like New York is 9 hours drive south of Montreal. So their winters are still slightly shorter. It's not very short, but it's slightly shorter. So yes, they do have snowstorms and all that stuff. Like we're from the same side of I guess North America. So but I would say maybe the coldest is probably like -10 as well, -10, -15. Like, and if they have like a big snowstorm, like a big stretch, then it can feel a little longer, but it's probably similar. Yeah.
To New York. Is that New York?
Maybe. I've been to New York a few times and I do love it there, but I don't know. It was cold when I went, so I didn't feel like I needed to move there.
It's too similar. Yeah. It wouldn't make a difference for you.
Maybe in summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question from this audience. Let me pull this one. Erica. I've been thinking of getting a boy bag. So Steph, what are your pros and cons for the boy bag? I know you love your boy bag.
Yes, I have 3. Let me grab one.
Oh, she's got 3 bags. 3 boy bags, definitely.
So you don't do duplicates.
She likes duplicates.
You remind me of my earlier collection.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm slowly maturing, but yeah, I've got 3. This one isn't my favorite actually.
It's beautiful.
My pearl and the pearl one there.
The pearl one is a nice one. You got that really nice one. Yeah.
Yeah. The pros of this bag, I just think it looks quite edgy, and so you do have the CC on the front, but it's not like too much. The cons are, it's the biggest con for me is the flap. It's just so big that when you're kind of wearing this crossbody and trying to get in it, you have to hold the flap and then try and get into the bag.
Yep.
It's not as good as like, it just doesn't sit. So you just have to hold it open, and the chain, obviously you can't adjust it. Oh, sorry, you can adjust it slightly, but not massively. Yeah, and it does wear quite a lot on the corners. Like I do take really good care of mine because I know that these areas are where they wear the most. So I try not to put it down or like pull it on tables. And this is where I think if you're looking at any new bag, doing your homework on where it wears and tears, and is it a deal breaker for you? For me, it wasn't, but because I know about that, I now try and use this with like a handbag hook, so I'm not putting it down so much. And I would say as well, these are deceivingly small, which is a bit of a con, I guess. This is the medium size, and you can see the bag is like just way smaller than what it looks. So yeah, I find it surprising whenever I use this because I feel like I'm taking quite a big bag out, but I'm not actually getting much space. But I guess the pros for me, I just love the way that it looks. I just think with the chain and it being quite understated without a massive logo, but just enough for me, like, yeah, I just think aesthetically it is stunning.
It's beautiful. Actually, Steph, I want to ask you, and I know you only have a few minutes left. So your collection is quite diverse. I love it. Which one is your favorite and why?
See all her bags at the back.
Yeah.
the Pearl Chanel boy bag up here.
Okay.
That is definitely my favorite, and it's not the most practical. It is not one of my most used bags, but it just feels the most special. I guess I associate Chanel with pearls, and I never thought I would get a Chanel pearl bag just due to the prices, like they're flat bags with the pearls on. And when I did get that, it was, obviously it was Chanel expensive, but it wasn't ridiculous. And yeah, I feel so special when I wear that bag. So if I could only choose one, it would be that.
Nice.
Not a rational choice, an emotional one.
Doesn't always have to be rational.
Exactly.
Actually, is your collection more rational or logical in your opinion? Like, how do you go about choosing like your next bag?
I think it's been more irrational, and it's becoming more rational slowly over time. But then I guess it's becoming more rational in the sense that if I did add a Kelly, for example, that is a style of bag that I really like right now. So I'm sure I would use it a lot. But then there's the price point. So it's kind of rationalizing that as well, when you could get something. I keep looking at the Celine 16 bag with the top handle in the small size. I love that bag. And I'm like, is it worth the price? Quality wise, I know it is, but for how much I'll use it, is it really worth that? So I think I'm slowly becoming more rational. But yeah, when I see something beautiful, it's just irrational.
It's irrational. It's 100% emotional. Yeah. Okay, let me pull this question. So because you do a lot of shopping vlogs, you see a lot of brands. So let's end with this question because I'm curious. Like, if there is one brand that's understated for you, you think we all need, and why? Because we talked about Chanel and Hermes and LV, but seriously, there are so many brands, right? And with your vlogs, you're going to London and seeing, what is one brand that you think is like, it's gonna explode? We all need to get it now.
I think this changes. For me right now, it feels like Celine is a brand that is on a lot of people's radar. With the 16 bag, I think it retails around £3,000 and it's all leather lined. And I feel like the price point isn't astronomical like certain other brands, but I still feel like you can get really nice understated pieces, like a bit more like if you know what it is, then you know. And I'm definitely starting to spot a lot more of them out and about, especially the Triomphe range with the logo on the front. Like, again, it does say Celine, but you kind of need to know that logo is Celine. And then another brand that I quite like, and this is at like a much more reasonable price point, is D'Amelia. And this is my Vancouver bag.
Oh,
Hang on, let me show you. I was just going to ask you, at the back, there's a black color bag that has that logo right there. And I was like, what bag is that?
Yeah, I get asked a lot about, and like amongst my other bags, like I feel like it does really kind of fit in. These are, I think, £370. I did do a video on my YouTube channel, like a full review of it, like what fits and all of that, if anyone's wanting to maybe get this bag. And yeah, it just seems so much cheaper, but also it's really understated because we don't have, like, we do have a bit of a logo here, but small. But I think the bag has a really nice presence, and I think this is what's most exciting, like I've mentioned before, about the luxury market right now. Is before it's kind of felt like it's been about some really big brands, and now I feel like it's just widening so much. It is for me. Maybe that's just my personal world and perception, but I love this bag so much. I've got 2 already, and I definitely plan to get more. The quality is not there like it would be for a really high-end luxury brand. Like, there are a few flaws with this, like the hardware scratches quite easily. But I mean, for the price, like, yeah, I don't regret these for a second.
It's gorgeous. I kind of am predicting some unboxing when you come back from your London and Paris trip, actually. We've spoken about a few brands, and do you think you'll end up buying anything like maybe an Hermes, or is that too early?
I mean, if I was offered the right Hermes bag, absolutely.
Take it. Take it.
Yeah,
Take it.
definitely. It'd have to be the right size, though, I think, and definitely the right colorway. I definitely wouldn't just be able to just kind of take whatever they offered, because then that would stop me from getting what I actually wanted sooner. So yeah, I could definitely see. I really do want to start attaching some of my purchases to like special memories. So I was actually thinking, when I was debating the Team Triomphe, I was like, because obviously that kind of originated, the logo originated from Paris, and when Sully was at the Triomphe. And I was like, why? I'd love to buy that bag in Paris for that reason. And then it's a special memory for me, and it's like a moment in time that I can attach to this luxury item. So I'd like to collect more pieces from around the world. I think one of the biggest issues is outside of Europe. I know you guys end up paying quite a lot more because of import fees and stuff. Like, Europe's one of the cheapest places to buy luxury.
That's exciting.
Pay a lot of All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. We know you gotta go, but thank you. We would love to have you back. I think when we join us again, we can do a topic that's, today's sort of like getting to know you, having some chats. But yeah, we could definitely do a specific, like, one of your topics, like 19 bags of the best this year, 2024 or something.
And a Hermes unboxing.
Yes.
That too.
And it doesn't have to be a bag. Like, maybe it's just something that you bought and really enjoyed or enjoy. Yeah,
definitely. Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. My first live. It's been
yeah. You should do lives. Yeah, you should totally. It's the best way to chat with subscribers, and it's really interactive. And before you know it, time's gone, like 1 hour.
Yeah, time goes by really fast.
So fast.
There's never enough time.
Definitely. Thank you to everyone who has joined in as well. Like, it's been so great to answer questions a bit more live. Yeah.
All right, we'll see you around.
Thanks
Thanks
you so much, Steph. Bye. Oh, it was great. I'm sorry, guys. My camera has decided not to work today, so I'm just working with
just
my
lift
webcam.
Are you using your phone?
No, this is my computer, my laptop. So
right.
Normally I would use my phone. Well, not normally, but lately I've been using my phone to, like my phone camera as the webcam. But today it decided not to connect. So I don't know what's going on. But we'll just work with. We'll just work with what I have right now. At the very least, today was not about me. It's all about our guests today.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed that. We have another guest coming. Is it, we can give a hint. Like, we've been working on guests. I know you don't want to see our faces all the time anyway. But is she coming? Did you contact her?
We are working. Yeah, so we're
Oh,
working on getting another guest from the USA, and she's a big lover of pink. So it's just a matter of scheduling and I guess figuring out a time for everyone to be able to get together.
yeah.
Because she's a very, very busy woman.
She owns a
And
business. She loves
yes,
pink.
pink
There are not
lover,
many
big, big,
YouTubers that
big
love.
pink lover. So that'll be fun. Like it's just nice to like speak to different personality of, because you can be a handbag lover, right? But each collection can be so different from each other, right? Like some people's collection are more similar, but others are just so vastly different. And even with Steph, like her collection is very classic, I would say, still, but very it's like it's very daring in a way. Like there's white and then there's fabric. It's like so
There's
beautiful. And then
pearls.
yeah.
I see the guesses all coming in. Actually, there are two. There's another girl. This other YouTuber that I'm trying to bring her in. She's quite new. I think not a really big channel, but she has one of like a really big luxury Hermes collection. Yeah, that one maybe around maybe June, May or June, because she's traveling right now. I know we're so terrible, we're just dropping all these hints but not telling anybody who they are. But anyway, yeah, we can pull out some. We can tell. I think is she coming? Is she coming? We can tell her. We can tell them. It'll be exciting.
Well, we'll just secure the people, and
Oh yeah,
plus,
we'll
like
secure stuff.
it could be more than one guest per month. Like it just depends on everyone's schedule and if we're able to actually get them on board and agree on time, because it's not just as easy as getting the guests over, right? Like we have to make sure that they are able to connect online, so there's like a testing involved and all that stuff. So there's a lot of preparatory work aside from the planning. So we'll secure that first before we go
Yeah,
ahead and but there's
it's
a lot
fun.
of guesses, good guesses, so that's cool. And like I was
Oh,
also thinking about that actually while I was sleeping, because I went to bed before everyone yesterday so that I could wake up earlier today. But I was actually just thinking about that yesterday. I was like, oh, there must be a better way to get guesses on um, than the way that the way we've been doing is great, but like it's definitely more involved, right? I feel. And I think it still needs to be that way because not everyone is used to, like how to connect on a live stream, for example. So they may not have the setup, but
mm.
there must be a better way that we can do that is like a little bit more automated in a way. So we'll have to figure
You're
that out
too techie. You're just too techie. There's not everything can be automated.
I wish
Some
there
things
was.
still have to be manual.
I
They have to have
know.
the human touch to them.
And the thing is, like, I sometimes can't even get stuff to work, like with the phone thing, right? Like it's such a new thing that I've started using my phone as my webcam. But I think it's a bug because right now it won't recognize my you know what? As I just said that it won't, it's like doing it now. So it's actually working now. Haha, jokes on me. Like literally, the worst thing is like sometimes you just can't even troubleshoot some of the things, and like this is a software bug. I'm pretty sure of it because everything else you can restart the phone and everything, but it's anyway, it's working now. I'm
Okay,
clear
Kobe
finally.
girl, how about having a subscriber as a guest?
Good
You
question.
know, we would love to have a subscriber as a guest, but I think
And
it's
we
also
have thought about
challenging.
it many times.
Yeah, we have, but it's challenging, and challenging is it can be overcome. But I think a lot of subscribers do prefer to just watch and participate. And this actually YouTubing is it's a little bit like you're doing your first time your Zoom meeting or your your Microsoft Teams meeting. You don't know where to look. Are you looking here? Are you looking there? Are you looking there?
Mhm.
It's a lot to handle. Even as a YouTuber, can you imagine a subscriber? So
Mhm.
never say never. Maybe, but yeah.
It depends also on the person, because I know even if someone is just on, let's say, Instagram. Let's say they post a lot on Instagram, but they don't make videos, or they're not in front of a camera very often or at all. It's a totally different way of communicating. Like, it's not just about looking onto the camera, but it's about also maybe like some insecurities, like talking to like strangers. Literally, you're putting your face online, and your whole like, because you're actually moving and like talking and behaving, right? Whereas a picture is still. So you might still be very like active on social media, but it's totally different to be on a video and on camera, and
And
it's going to be
live.
live. So not everyone's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to predict how a subscriber or even members, because we've brought this up many times, because we have a membership, right?
Mhm.
And our members are literally even closer to us. Like, we feel like we know a lot of the members. We see a lot of the names pop up. We have met a few of them, of course, but even then, like, to ask someone to come on can feel like, for them, can feel very intimidating. So that's also a challenge. And it's harder to control a situation when it's live, right? Like, I'm not saying that, subscribers are not capable of coming on and talking,
Yeah.
but I don't know if they have a panic attack, like what we would do, right? Like, we can't control those situations.
We can't
So.
kick them out. We're like, oh, just having a panic attack. Bye.
It's like, sorry, we'll just mute her for a little bit, Like, no, that's not how it works. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it'll be interesting. I know a
Maybe
lot
one day.
of other
Kobe girl, would you like to come on? I
well,
mean, it's
maybe
something.
that's the thing. That's why I said maybe it's not about automating, but like maybe having a system where people can volunteer to come. But then it's also hard for us to vet that person also. Like, there's a lot of planning involved, like to vet a person via the testing period where you test if all the equipment works. It's
Oh
hard to
yeah.
like actually know that that person's not going to just like become crazy when we're actually live, like those things we don't know, right?
Yeah. It's like news, right? Like you watch. I mean, obviously, this is nowhere near news, right? Millions of people, but it's still the same thing. You never know what will happen when we say go live, and then anything can happen. Like I always get mail. Like I'm like, how did I'm like, sorry, man, I've got to go for a second because DHL is outside the house.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
There's so
Anyway,
many
it's
things, and
funny.
like for us, 2 hours is a good amount of time, but it's still tiring for someone who's completely new, who's never done this. Half an hour can be too long for that person. 15
True.
minutes could be too long for that person. Or maybe that person's very comfortable and can like be sitting there for 3 hours. Like, we don't know those things. And so there's a lot of just intangible challenges for just someone who's not totally well, we can't control. I think it's the uncontrolled portion that we don't know how to handle that yet.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. So, okay, I'm gonna talk. Like, you know what? I want to bring back that question. I found that question to be really good. About the handbag deal breakers. So you
Mm,
mentioned zip, and I
yeah,
said, what did I say again? I said
you said
accordion,
accordion,
and bags that flip,
that
like
flop. Yeah, for me
like
too. Like, if
flop
a
up.
bag falls, I can't deal with it either.
I want to ask the audience because we didn't get a chance to ask the audience. What are your handbag deal breakers? I'm sure there are so many. It's just that right now these are the only two that I can think of at the moment. And
I
you
used
have
to have
zip.
another one, but I kind of just learned that it's acceptable because you have different sizes of bag. But for me, it used to be it has to fit my phone and my keys, like at least the three main things. But obviously now it's less of a less of a concern for me because I'm okay with a nano bag, which technically is not a bag, but you know what I mean. Like now I'm okay with having a diversity of styles, so I just use those differently, almost as an accessory. But yeah. Mm,
Kirby
maybe
Girl said doesn't fit
material,
my phone.
material,
Doesn't fit my phone. Yeah.
like
Oh,
material
material.
bag.
Yeah. I want to say Peyton is now, I'm going to say 99% Peyton is a deal breaker
Mm,
for bags for me. But that 1%, it could be, say, I don't know, maybe a little bit of Peyton on the bag I could sort of accept, but maybe a full Peyton bag, I can't deal with it. Or maybe that 1% is a no, you know what? No, I think it's 99.9% deal breaker. I could accept a little bit of it, but yeah, that would be a deal breaker for me. I could
yeah.
love the design, but nah.
Yeah, I've tried patent bags too. They're so beautiful, but like it's such an occasional bag because it depends on the weather for me to use it. Like if it's raining outside, I don't want to bring it out because I know it's gonna get wet and sticky. Wet is not the worst actually. It's when it's kind of humid and it's gonna stick to everything. Like it's sticking to your skin, it's sticking to the table, like all those things. And also the storage is kind of finicky with that. Um, I think fabric bags is where I've learned my lesson several times where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't buy an expensive fabric bag. That's kind of like a
Yeah.
deal breaker. I will still buy a fabric bag, but I shouldn't buy like a $5,000 fabric bag maybe because it's just too high maintenance and
Mm.
I'll be too scared to use it. It's also sometimes the deal breaker is not about just owning the bag. It's knowing that you're not going to use the bag very often. And that's not cool. I don't want that. I don't want to not use my bags. Actually, this one is a good one, the heaviness.
I thought you were gonna say heavy, but you didn't. You said
Yeah.
zip first. I thought, oh, you're
Actually,
gonna
that is
say
a
heavy.
big deal breaker for me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Big one. Yeah.
I think Peyton in the beginning is beautiful. And maybe for where like Steph is in the UK, you don't like there isn't issue with humidity, or like for you as well. So if you live in a country that doesn't have this issue of humidity, Peyton is actually okay. But because here it's so humid, over time, two things happen to the bag. If you got a light color like mine, my ombre green walk, which was turquoise when it began with, but now
Yeah.
it's like army green.
Yeah.
Firstly, the color runs. Secondly, which you won't experience, but it gets sticky over time. The patent, that plastic coating on the top of the patent, it gets like gooey, sticky. It's like it's
Mhm.
not melting, but almost mixing with the wet environment, humid, wet environment. It gets sticky and everything sticks on it, which is why somebody said in one of our earlier lives, if don't ever bring a patent bag to a wedding or some event that has confetti.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. Because when you throw confetti and it sticks on your patent bag, and if it's sticky, goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, I think for those occasions, like if you want to have a fun bag, but they have deal breaker aspects of it, I think buy something that is like not from like a high luxury brand, but something that is more affordable. So you can still have patent or you can still have fabric, but buy something that is more like a Coach or like, any of the brands that are a little bit more affordable. And that way you still get to experience those materials or those designs, but at least you know that you're going to feel okay for not reaching for them for very often, or you're going to be okay bringing that to a wedding if it gets damaged. It's sort of like the wear and tear, but it doesn't feel as heartbreaking, right? Like if a $5,000 bag gets damaged that way, like it's terrible. It sucks.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm gonna pull a few other deal breakers. So same thing, doesn't fit the phone, bag
Yeah.
strap too thin. This is not a deal breaker for me, but I do
Uncomfortable,
consider
right?
it. It's like when
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's kind of like, the bag's like this big, but the strap is like this thin. Then it sort of crosses my mind as kind of
Yeah.
either odd. Yeah.
It can be
Amy's.
odd, but it's also when you start using it and it becomes a bag that hurts you,
Mhm.
that's no fun either. But I guess
Yeah.
that is more something that you find out later. So that's part of the
Should
learning process. Yeah.
should be a deal breaker. Should be a deal breaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any same thing. Too heavy. Too sharp corners.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't fit the phone, patent, and then suede and velvety type.
Yeah. Because those just don't wear very well, right? Sharp corners, velvet, suede, those are just not materials or aspects of a bag that do very well with wear and tear. And it depends
Yeah.
on how you intend to use that bag. If all your bags are more everyday bags and you're gonna really like just use those bags, then knowing that you should avoid these things is a good thing. You just learn after owning enough and making
Yeah.
some of those mistakes enough times. You just know. But sometimes you still sort of like use your irrational mind and still buy it because you love something. Like I'm still
Yeah.
buying things that I love that I shouldn't be buying, and you're stuck with it. So
Okay, Kristan, this is a good one.
good
Actually,
one.
this is also a deal breaker. A strap that keeps falling off my shoulder. So the green Chanel bag that I was like this close to buying. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. It's called the Sweetheart Mini. Is it the Sweetheart Mini Flap? The one with the heart shape on the CC.
Maybe.
It's just a recent collection, right?
Hmm.
One of the things that my rational brain realized is every time I put it on my shoulder, it kept like slipping off. And I
Hmm.
tried to rationalize it by saying, well, if I wore it without, that means I wore it on bare skin, it would be better. I could have done it, but it's definitely something that I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying. It kept like getting on my shoulder, my shirt. I was like, oh,
And it's good that you found that out while you're trying it, because a lot of times,
true.
if you're not wearing something that you normally wear, and I think that's the challenge for me because we have 4 seasons. So depending on
Mm,
when I bought the bag,
yeah.
I may not realize that it's not a bag that I can wear the next season
Mm,
or most of the year. And that's always been something that I've struggled with. And I don't find out until I'm like, oh, it's kind of too late. But I already, like, I can't return it or, final sell, those things. Like, and it becomes like a lot of those things, either if you love it enough, it becomes like a seasonal bag in your collection, or you end up feeling guilty because you're not using it. And then
mm,
maybe you try to still, like, I still try to give each each item that I add into my collection enough time to really know if it's really meant to be part of my permanent collection or not. But sometimes you get the anxiety too, like it's just sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, and you feel
yeah.
guilty about it. And so
All right. Let me pull a couple more.
that's a good
Okay.
question, that last one.
Yeah. Labas. What about chain straps? Hesitate on buying one.
Like just chain, right? I think I know what she means because I think I
Yeah.
mentioned that a few times whenever I've come across the newer Chanel bags that are just chain. It's not
Mm.
leather and chain, it's just chain. And I have a slight bias towards not liking those because first of all, I know they're more noisy. And second
Yep.
of all, in my opinion, it cheapens the bag. Not all the time, but I feel like, especially when I look at Chanel, I feel like it should be both chain and leather interwoven.
Mm.
So that's how I've always imagined, like how Steph said, Chanel for her is pearls. Totally agree. But for me, also, in terms of Chanel, a bag should have both material in the chain. Or maybe like, just leather. Sometimes it's like chain and then a leather break. But when they just do chains, and lately they've been doing a lot of just chain, even if it's adjustable, I I find it cheapens the bag for me
Mm.
personally. Could be just me, but so I tend to not like it as much. Even when other brands do it, I tend to not like it as much. The only times I don't mind it as much is when there's also a top handle. So the chain is actually just an addition, like it
Like an
just adds.
accessory.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm. I agree about the noise. Like I'm okay with just chain.
Mm.
It would be better if that chain has a bit of that leather tab, which a lot of brands are doing nowadays anyway. Maybe in the past was not so common. They just gave you the whole chain and it's just really noisy. But probably over time they realized that a little bit of leather will make it comfortable on the shoulder. But I agree, it's noisy. It's like kapash, you hear all the
Yeah.
chain on the table and it depends on the chain. So when it's just chain, sometimes it can be quite heavy because when there's that interwoven leather, it you're using less metal in a way,
Mhm.
right? Less chain hoops, but it still looks beautiful. So with just chain, it can be quite heavy. You gotta try it. Some chains are
Yeah.
okay, some chains are not. I find that the chain from YSL is really beautiful because it's just chain, but somehow they do it so nice. It's just very noisy. Um, but yeah, the Chanel just chain, it lacks a little bit. Like they could do it better, but I don't
The
know.
newer bags. So,
Yeah.
Shiza brought up a good point. The
Oh, that's true.
reissue has a chain, and I've owned the reissue in the past, and I didn't mind that chain as much.
Yeah, that chain is beautiful though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's
So
nice.
so that chain is very well done, and that chain doesn't feel as noisy. Or maybe it's the weight too. Like there's something about the bijou chain that I'm okay with. Although it is still a bit noisy, but I feel like it was okay. I think maybe it's because you can double it up. I like that about it. When you double up the chain on the reissue, it's also more comfortable. I feel like when a chain on a bag, if it's only crossbody, first of all, it's kind of painful if your bag is heavy to wear it crossbody with just one chain. Second of all, yeah, it's still noisy. So like that part, I can't. um, this one is also a good point when it pulls your hair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, chain straps can have the tendency to pull your hair too. And it depends on the chain. Like a lot of snake chains do that, right?
What is a snake chain already?
You know,
Is that is that the YSL? Is YSL considered a snake chain? Oh, I know. The one with the serpent head is the snake head bag.
the Bulgari?
What is that? Bulgari? Is that Bulgari? The one with the very thin, rounded.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, is that like snake chain?
I think so. I also had the Valentino before. It sort of has kind of like a snake chain. That one, I don't know if that one pulled my hair. Maybe it didn't. But that one had a top handle. It was a thick top handle, like the version that I had. So I didn't mind it as much because most of the time I actually grabbed it by the top handle. So I didn't notice pulling my hair for that one. So it really still depends on the bag. Like if if the chain is more decorative and it's just an added convenience, that's okay. If it's the only chain strap on the bag, that's where I'm kind of hesitant and I don't like it as
Mm,
much.
yeah. Okay, yeah, Bulgari. Okay, I think you saw one. This one. Do you
Oh,
think
good
you'll
question.
tolerate the heaviness of a Birkin? Considering
I know my
it's
answer, but
heaviness of a Birkin, considering it is known to be
heavy.
heavy. Ah,
Because I own the 25 for a reason. It's for this exact reason. I
okay,
refuse
so
to go a size up.
I used to have the 30, and on its own, the Togo is manageable, meaning you've got nothing inside the bag, okay? But then, because it is a bigger bag, you would want to put things inside, like, whatever lah, anything lah, water bottle, your umbrella, your scarf, everything, your giant wallet. And oh man, it does, like, it's a it's an arm workout. And I brought it for a holiday to Japan, Tokyo, thinking that I'm gonna be like all bougie with the bag, gonna take lots of photos while I'm like going around. It's the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life because oh my god, it was heavy. But I got some good photos. It's just that, so do I tolerate it? Um yeah, maybe I do tolerate it. I kind of work with the bag, but I won't go any bigger. So knowing that, I think the max I can do is 30 with like max capacity, and I will have to know at one point during a journey, whether it's shopping journey or a travel journey, I can put the bag down because I need the break.
Yes.
I think I'll tolerate
Um,
it. I think I will. You tolerate it. You use your bag.
okay, so for you, I agree what you said, and I feel that you are a much stronger person than I am. um, I I still hesitate on tolerating the Birkin 30, for example, because now that I'm kind of expanding my wish list, because right, I'm on my third year of Hermes, right, of my Hermes journey. So I'm kind of like, "Ooh, I have more things I want to add to my wish list, even though it's still, you still have to work one at a time. So I have thought about it. The bigger sizes of the Birkins and Kellys, it's like, what am I gonna get next after I get my mini Kelly and maybe a Constance? Like, what am I gonna get next, right? Like, I can stop, yes, but maybe I don't want to stop. Like, I am actually looking at the bigger sizes, and so I have already been thinking of the 28 size Kelly, but that's a Kelly, right? So like a Kelly is still profile wise, it's still thinner. Like from the side, it has less depth than a Birkin. Um, and it's just slightly bigger than the 25. So it's not like a huge bag. So, the other day, actually, it's funny. I was wearing my Birkin 25 and I actually forgot to bring my reusable shopping bag. And you know how, like in Vancouver, you pay 25 cents or 50 cents each time you buy something if you need a bag.
Mm.
And because I had my Birkin, I was like, oh, I'll just shove it in my Birkin. I was just buying like makeup brushes and like a Dyson attachment, all those things. I'll just put it in my bag. But it was filling up. So I was actually carrying some stuff on my arm because I'm like, oh, my car's just there. But wouldn't it be nice to have a Birkin 30 in that case? Because it would totally fit in my Birkin 30 and I can still hold everything by the handle. And I was just thinking about that and I'm like, would I eventually get a Birkin 30? But I still struggle with that. I can't say a definite yes or no because the weight of the 25 when it's filled, it's really my comfort zone. When it
Mm,
gets more than that, and if I'm carrying the bag longer than a day, like when I met up with you, that's the only bag I brought, and I had to wear that bag for 3 days in a row, my
mm.
arm was dead. My shoulder was dead after that trip. So, um, if I owned a Birkin 30, let's say I do give it a chance. If I owned it, it wouldn't be a bag that it wouldn't be the only bag I brought to a road trip, that's for sure.
Mm,
And also, I would have to be driving. I have to be able to
yeah,
put my bag down
yep,
everywhere
must.
I go because I just don't have the shoulder strength and the arm strength to like, like I might be able to carry it, that's fine. I'm not that weak, but it's like throughout the day, it's weighing down your shoulder, it's pulling in different ways that you normally walk, and your posture is all different after a while. So it affects me in the long term. So that's why I'm still not sure actually. And these are not inexpensive bags. So I have a very hard time saying a yes or no for sure. That's why.
So, coming back to the question whether you tolerate it, it's heavy. But remember, we just said a deal breaker could be heavy.
Uh,
We just
yeah.
contradicted ourselves.
Yeah, I know. But like you said, when the bag is empty and depending on the material, it doesn't have to be a heavy bag. It's just if you've been using it a long time
Mm,
enough, like several days in a row, maybe, and if you've been filling your bag. Because if you don't fill your
true.
bag and you're not using it on a daily basis, like that's your only bag, then it's okay to have it in your collection. Do you know what I mean? It's the same
The
concept as buying nano bags. You
yeah.
don't use a nano bag every day. It's not my everyday bag. That's silly if it is. Um, but you want it in your collection because sometimes you just need a nano bag, like for a concert. So for me, the Birkin 30 would be a similar scenario. It's sort of that occasional larger size bag that I want to pull out on that one day, like that one shopping day
Mm,
maybe, that I have the comfort of my car to be in. It's sort of like that. But I think my struggle is also knowing that the price is quite high and you have to play the game to get it. Like it's all of that too. And I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice all of that just to add that in my collection.
mm.
Is it enough for me to add that in my collection? That's where I'm struggling a bit.
I guess the Birkin itself is not that heavy. I mean, it is not that heavy, but we draw the line where it's like a 35, 40. That is known to be heavy. It's like a little luggage.
Yeah, but it's all relative, right? Like I'm only 5'4". You're taller than me. I'm only 5'4". Sometimes I think people say that I'm not even 5'4". So like any bigger bags do overwhelm me and they do become too heavy too. So like someone who's 5'7", 5'8", for them a Birkin 35 is it's an okay size. Um and maybe for them they have to have everything with them on a daily basis. Like it's all relative too. So yeah, for me, Birkin 30 is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. I don't know for sure if I want to go there because that's sort of my big bag. Even though I know it's not that big of a bag, it's just a normal size bag.
It's pretty big. It is because it's like square. Okay, Erica, have you guys heard about the ludicrously capacious bag on the
Mhm.
show Succession? So funny. I've heard of this term. I watched Jimmy Fallon, and he did a skit, like I don't know, was it on IG or something? He did a skit and he used this word. He's like, "Ooh, that is a ludicrously capacious bag." I don't get the reference, but it's kind of funny. Did you watch it?
Oh, no. So I don't know this show, but I know about this trend. Like literally nowadays, there's this trend where people are literally carrying such big bags that I think it can almost fit their whole body in it. Like it's just this big. Um
It's ludicrous.
Yeah, it's just like really huge bags. Like we went from the extreme tiny little dinky bags to like now this extreme ludicrous big size. It's just a trend. I don't really think it's gonna stick, even though big bags are back, but not this big. I don't know. I feel like it's just a trend. You're like literally wearing the trend. You can't. I don't think it's timeless. So it's okay if you like the trend. Go ahead. Just have fun at it. But I wouldn't. I don't know. Is there actually a luxury brand that did something like that? Maybe on the runway. Actually, maybe on the
Maybe
runway.
runway. I
I
don't
don't
think
remember
anybody
which.
will carry anybody in real life. Okay, real life. I don't think anybody will carry a ludicrously capacious bag. Well, the biggest one so far is YSL's. I think
Oh, that
so. The
one is
biggest.
pretty big, but
That was pretty
yeah,
big. Like
that
for
one's
our
kind of.
everyday person in real life, when I see somebody carry their bag, I'm like, that's a big bag.
Yeah, I think the YSL eye care is
I care.
borderline too big,
Ludicrous.
but I think it's not that one. They're like literally referring to even bigger than that. I think Clara is saying the Burberry bag. Is that right? Is that right? There's a Burberry one. Let me see if I can just find it. Burberry. I don't even know
But
what
it's
to search
supposed to be
for.
a meme. This like a meme or a joke or something about this sentence called ludicrously capacious. But everybody is using it now because when you see somebody carrying a big bag, you just say, "Oh, that's a big bag." You'll say, "That is a ludicrously capacious bag."
I can't find it unless that is the size. Is that really? That's not really big. That's just that's big, but it's not like that big. Uh, I must be missing something. That's not that big. Okay, hold on a minute. Is this it? Is
Let's
this
take a
it?
look.
That's what I found just by Google search.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a tote that is pretty big, right? But
It's like a joke. The guy, I think the actor
maybe, yeah.
just said it like, "Oh, that's a ludicrously capacious bag."
So if that's the case, because I thought it was bigger than this, but if that's the case, then just any oversized bags would count, right?
Which is why the biggest one that I've seen in terms of real life that I've seen is only the YSL eye care.
Yeah, yeah,
I haven't seen anything bigger. Let me think about it.
yeah. It's not
It's
that
big
ridiculous.
because it flaps open, right? It's like a manta ray, where the wings just like kaboom out. So it just looks big.
Oh, it's a statement about logo. Okay. Logo bags. I thought I saw something else. Maybe I was wrong.
Not a very big bag. Even the Duville's bigger.
Yeah, unless it's just the fact that they are bigger bags and very logo forward. Is that what it means?
Mm.
Anyway, um, I in a way I don't really care enough to put too much attention towards this event, if you can call it an event. In the end, like it's okay to talk about trends. It's okay to talk about like what's new, but it boils down to you choosing what's right for you, right? Doesn't matter if it's a big bag or if it's very logo forward, as long as it works for you.
Yes. Okay.
This
This
bag
one,
is
Trump's
sold out.
asking.
Okay.
Let me pull this. Is this a question? I think so. I have a Chanel pearl strap and it keeps pulling my hair. Thinking of letting it go. Should I? But it's very cute.
The struggle with pearls too is that it does pull your hair, like pearl straps. It's true.
Chom's asking me and you, and I'm at a stage where I'm really ruthless.
Yeah, I would have sold it.
I would.
Yeah.
Ruthless.
It's only
But
hard to
then-
let go of something when you're still thinking about it. Like the process of letting something go and the thought of it is very anxiety
Inducing.
driven. Yeah. But if you're sure, if you know that's the right thing to do, once it's done, like when it's left your collection, you'll actually feel very relief and very happy about it. Like you'll miss it from time to time, but like you know that it's the right thing to do because you're not wearing the bag. You're not wearing it. It's not comfortable. The money could go towards better things. Those are the good things that you can enjoy after the fact. But the thought of letting it go and the fear of missing out, all those things is going to make you very, very like, is it a good decision? Is it a bad decision? But it might be the right thing to do, though. And the right thing to do is not always easy to do.
Oh, this actually this is a good question. I've been seeing a lot of people do some videos on this. Kobe's girl asking, which bag best fits the definition of quiet luxury? Have to be honest, I don't know this new definition that people are talking about on quiet luxury. I haven't watched the videos. I've just seen some thumbnails. Is it something to do with like no logos? Like quiet luxury?
I mean, I would agree, but I don't know for sure either. And why does it matter? That's what I'm kind of like wondering too. Like if it's just a trend, why does it matter that much? Unless it's already part of your own style. Like if your own style is very minimalist to begin with, not minimalist, minimal and like very simple, then maybe quiet luxury is already how you are and the definition of your style. So assuming that's what it means, right? Like no logo, very simple bags, just like not super either like not super recognizable, maybe like that's how I would think about it. Okay, Clara knows more. Okay, quiet luxury is Laurel, Piana, the Row. Okay, so like brands that are just on the, because the Row, I don't know the other two, but the Row I know. So they have very clean lines and just very like minimal design, just very almost timeless, classic, simple, kind of that vibe. And also, I guess, not sure about the prices, but like I'm guessing it's probably not Chanel Hermes.
Would you consider Delvo quiet luxury?
Delvo? No, I wouldn't.
No?
It's still recognizable if.
You
Know
you
what I
mean
mean?
quiet luxury is like totally I just saw one word, underrated. Underrated, totally underrated, but it's actually luxury. So not even just so people don't even know it. It's it's what the elite wear. Like you don't even know it. Is that quiet luxury?
Like super plain, you know, like
okay.
super plain looking at a super high price.
No, if it's super plain looking, I'll just buy it from Uniqlo, okay?
But I guess it's different. It's for a different market, right? Like,
It's like a white Uniqlo t-shirt, but looks like white Uniqlo t-shirt, but made of the top quality cotton infused with silk and cashmere, but it looks like Uniqlo.
quiet luxury is still very expensive, so it can be
Yeah, right.
underrated, but still very, very, very pricey. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah,
And only the ultra rich know is it. Okay. Okay. So what's the question was wait, sorry, I lost the question, but I think it's about what's the best bag that fits this definition of quiet luxury?
can't help you there. I don't own those bags, so underrated bags
No,
that are very expensive. I don't.
actually Hermes is. It's
It
just that
is, but
it's been
it's kind of
so
recognizable
yeah,
now.
it's just exploded into the mass market where
Yeah.
it's like a double-edged sword, right? They want to be the quiet luxury, but at the same time now they're extremely popular, so it's a little loud now.
I will say maybe for Hermes, it's like the new season's runway bags. It hasn't come out yet. So like at this point, if you can get a hold
Mm,
of that bag, like that big pobo, it's actually called uh, I knew the name, but I forgot now. That one where you can stick your hand in it, like that one, you don't really know. Like if someone was carrying that on the streets, I'm sure 99% of the people won't know the bag.
yeah,
You and I happen to know about it because we've talked about it. We analyze the collections. But for me, that would be considered quiet luxury. But it's because it's at this point of in time where the production hasn't really started yet. It's not mass produced yet. It's not really like not a lot of people can get a hold of it. So maybe that, but like
yeah.
Birkins and Kellys, they're kind of common in a way. Not in a bad way. I honestly don't care. For me, I love it. But I think they're so recognizable. I don't know if that's really considered quiet
No
luxury,
more
even though
quiet luxury.
they don't have a
No
big
more.
logo on it either, right? But it's so recognizable, right? So I don't feel like it's quiet at all in that sense, if that's the definition, right?
I'm trying to think of a brand. I think those shops that if I were to go into, say, in Singapore, Mandarin Gallery, where it's really high end stuff, those sort of boutique, you see one guy sitting there and this Italian brand name, and I won't walk in because that's probably quiet luxury because
Yeah.
I wouldn't. They probably cater to the elite who wants their white t-shirt to be tailored, and that's quite a luxury. I don't know any of those brands because they scare
Yeah.
me.
So I'm seeing some comments come in, and everyone's sort of like their way of defining it, or maybe the way it applies to them is different because, for
Mm,
example, Annie says Hermes is so recognizable, right? It's sort of not really quite luxury, but at the same time, B Strong says Hermes is only well known on social media, but where she lives, she's never seen an Hermes bag. So like it also depends. But if
true.
strictly speaking, if this is the definition, then I would not consider Hermes to be quite luxury. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
Just because you and I and everyone here knows how Birkin and Kelly looks like. So it's not that quiet in a way because it's so recognizable.
yeah.
Um,
So being popular is a double-edged sword because
yeah,
you wanna cater to the elite because that's where the money is. But at the same time, now you're like so popular that even the elite's like, nah,
yeah.
hard.
And the only reason why I know about the row is because maybe that's not even quiet enough. The fact that I know about the row is because I've noticed they're ready to wear and I've always liked it. I've always also noticed that the prices are quite high. I just never noticed the bags. So I wouldn't really know how much the bags cost, but I could only imagine because the ready to wear is quite expensive. But other than that, even brands that are quiet luxury, if you know about it, then it's not that quiet then, right? But they are very simple. Like if you just search the row and look at some of the stuff, they are more on the simple side, right? So very timeless, very pricey. And so it almost doesn't apply to me. I'm like, I'm not there. I don't have that kind of dispensable income to like just my purchases are definitely way more thought out and more planned out in a way. Even though I say I don't have a budget, I do, but it's more like sometimes I do have to reach a little bit depending on what I've done, during that period.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'll pull this one out. Lai is saying that Quan Pen in Singapore. So now they're not quiet anymore because we were talking about them. Just kidding. Okay, let me just pull this out because honestly, I wouldn't know there's bags, but they've got pricing. Let me show you. Here we go. Quan Pen in Singapore. Ooh, Himalayan bag.
Oh my gosh, you know what it reminds me of? Strathberry. The first impression I get. Literally, that's my first impression.
Ooh, look at that.
Don't you agree
Ooh.
though?
It does because of the bar, right?
Yeah. And even
Look
the
at the
shape
price.
of the bags.
It's got diamonds.
Yeah, nice.
50K. At least they're, hey, look, Himalayan for 9. Kind of look. Come on, doesn't that look a little bit like the?
But is that
Capucine?
just imitation croc? It's not the actual. Can you look at the material?
No, it's leather. It's croc.
Oh, it is. Ooh, okay. Nice.
But doesn't it look a little bit like the Capucine?
A little bit, yeah.
Hey, you can get a croc, not Niloticus for 9K.
I'll pull this comment. This is interesting. I didn't know this brand, but anyway, Sakura says Jamie Chua marketed Quan Pan before, so not quite luxury anymore.
This is kind of cute, though. I have to say, this is kind of cute. Doesn't it look a little like LV-ish? It looks like your bag, the one that you don't have anymore.
Oh, this one? Yeah, the one that's called I forget now.
The one you and Jerusha had for a bit. I don't know. Forgot the name.
Spring Street. That's right.
Spring Street. There you go. Doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Although this shape is very common, though. It's not just LV that does it.
It's nice, huh?
Like this shape,
not that bad.
Bulgari does it. Like many brands does it.
I need to get myself a Quan Pen bag now. Then it's no longer quiet luxury.
Okay, I love these comments. Okay, I just find it funny. Coco Kitty CC, quiet luxury has no resale value, but I guess that's not what the target demo cares about. That's exactly it. That's why I'm like, it doesn't apply to me anyway. And then Shiza, I think there's a very fine line between quiet and no name. It's not no name, but I think we just don't care about those brands. Like we're not aware of them because that's not what we buy. So but it's in a sense it's no name because to us it's like, oh, it's not really a brand name that I care about. So That's
That's
hilarious.
funny. I can come up with a brand and I'll say it's quiet luxury.
Yeah. You
Okay.
know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Um
That's so funny. It's okay. It's a little bit like this debate that I was not debate, but this conversation. We'll end with this. Like I guess was talking about creating an SO for the Hermes, and I was talking to Joe. Joe joined, and then so I said that if I ever get offered an SO, you obviously have choices of colors, right? Would you do multicolor, or would you do the quiet luxury version where it's outside one color, and then if you open it, then you got a horseshoe there. If you know, you know, right? I'm like, no. If I get an SO, it's gonna be multicolor. I'm like, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. It's an SO. I'm gonna go all color. All right, I'm gonna get straps one color, strings one color, everything. I don't care. What would you do? Would you do if you know, you know, or would you do if you know, you know?
I would just go with something that I know I would wear. Like if it's too colorful, then maybe I won't pull it out as often and it's not really representing how my style is. But doing two colors is not that big of a deal. There's a lot of dual color bags. So it will just depend on, because if you ask me like about an SO, I honestly cannot tell you what I would do. Like I guess if I had to do an SO today, and because I don't have a Mini Kelly, maybe I'll do a Mini Kelly SO. But then what can you really do with a Mini Kelly anyway, other than just two colors? There's not much to do.
Yeah, but would you do two colors, or would you do one on the outside and then inside another color? So would it be an if you know, you know, or would you be like, yeah, it's two colors, duh, it's an SO. If you know, you know.
That's a good question. I would do two colors, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also debating on if it depends on what leathers are available, because I think it would be like a once in a lifetime experience to do maybe an exotic, if because I'm never really going to be offered an exotic bag, so maybe I would actually just do one color but an exotic, and I'll have a special stamp, because it's not only exotic, you'll have the exotic stamp and you'll have also the SO stamp. So it'll come down to what is available during the SO session during that year. But otherwise, I'll probably just do two colors that are complementary with each other. Like not too contrasty, like not black and white. Like that's crazy to me. But maybe like the same family of shade, but just complementary to each other.
So you do the if you know, you know, but it's in your face because it's two colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Good conversation. We love this quiet. Maybe we should do a live on quiet luxury and find out all these brands that are quiet luxury. That would be a fun.
Really? No. No one's gonna buy it.
Then there'll be a fine line between quiet and no name. Everybody's like, I don't know this brand. I don't know this brand.
Yeah, and but plus like people that are into quiet luxury, they don't need to watch a luxury live show to find out what to buy. They'll just buy it. So like you know what I mean? But okay, we can maybe still think about
we can have a debate
how to approach it. Yeah.
But it could be all these names like Quan Pen, and everybody's like, no, quiet luxury.
That's funny.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So we have a members live tomorrow. It's gonna be a fun little one. It's really short because it's actually about 12 hours from now. That's because of today's change in time. But yeah, that one will be talking about some fashion show finds that are quite
actually. It's actually gonna be tonight for us in North America. It's just like literally tonight. It's very early right now, but like it's literally tonight. And also next week, it's gonna be back on my channel, and I think
we'll talk about Celine.
We're just gonna talk about Celine, yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So anyway, thanks for joining us in different times. We hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, give Steph a subscribe. If you're not subscribed to her, make sure you go and check her out. Otherwise, we'll see you. Bye.
Bye.